essence of Satsang. The true teaching isn't words. It's going directly into that space that's beyond words and just allowing ourselves to be absorbed by that. Insights will come spontaneously out of that space. But the silence is the true teacher. That's all there is. So we can say things like awakening. But maybe a more correct word is just remembrance. Just a sense of coming home to something natural, something easeful, something expansive, something clear, something that is, but can't quite get grasped by the mind. What is that thing? Pure isness. What is that thing? And so the words start, the mind's interpretations of that simplicity. Words like emptiness, consciousness, awareness, true nature. And so we could say the awakening process is the process of remembrance, but it's also a process of disidentification. That space, which we always have been, and always will be, and always is, has this tendency to identify with our experience, with our conditioning. And so it apparently forgets its natural openness. It somehow gets stuck in the mind, stuck in the emotions, identifies with them, forgets that they're just flows of passing experience moving through its infinity. And so maybe the most effective way that we disidentify from the mind is to go directly into being. As we were doing this morning. No words, no concepts, just directly sitting as that already. And so the pure being, the silence is the true teacher, and it's also the most effective teacher. The most effective way of dissolving the mind identification. It can, of course, be useful to engage the mind and remove some of its doubts and kind of get in there and throw a few monkey wrenches in the gears. But all of that is to get back to this simplicity. And even if a person, when their awakening process takes off and they have powerful experiences which can come, when a consciousness that's been locked within the mind explodes, it can bleed off a lot of divine qualities, energy, bliss, love. This whole awakening process is so unique for everybody. There's no set way of how it looks. For many people, it often looks that what they contact first is the formless. In the sense, the identity shifts from being the mind and the me to, oh, I am nothing, I am that formlessness. This is all a dream. Only that's real. And from that space, we could say that's a state of consciousness. It's not quite the right way of putting it, but from that space, what that space says is, I am not that. Whatever it sees, it's not that. It's the witness of that. Anything that's form is not what it is. It's not what I am, because our identity shifts. We identify with what that state of consciousness says, what that space says. And then at some point, eventually that space, it starts revealing its fullness. Sometimes when we awaken to the emptiness, there can be a sense of flatness. And I often get this question from people, is that it? It's not it. The space is full. It's overflowing. And so it's overflowing with presence, it's overflowing with love, it's overflowing with peace. And that sense of overflowingness out of the emptiness, eventually it pierces into form. And when it pierces into form, what that space now says is, I am form. So the emptiness that was seeing itself as being separate from form is now seeing, whoa, there's just one thing here. The formless is form. The nothing is everything. And so when that space looks out through our eyes, it looks at a form, it looks at a person, it looks at a chair. And it can still see the sensory image, of course, but there's a deeper intuition that I am that. Everywhere you look, there you are. You're in everything, but you are everything as that space. So we could say the identity shifts again. So it shifts initially from the me to the formless, from the formless to oneness. Maybe it doesn't have to be that way, the whole thing can fall away in one shot. But with many people it looks that way. And so that's the perception of true nature. Is this simultaneous recognition that what we are is nothing. And simultaneously, at the exact same time, we're everything. It's a complete paradox, but the experience is not paradoxical, it's obvious. Non-duality. it's often used to describe that direct experience, which just means there's no separation. Where initially there may have been a separation between the seer and the seen, that too dissolves. We could say things that all that there is the seeing, all that there is witnessing, and everything, all form is constructed out of witnessing. But really, it's more simple than that. It's just this obviousness of the superfluid wholeness that can't truly be described in words properly.